Hey, everybody, Thomas here, and today I'm out here with Susie. Susie, ow, Susie, you ready to cut some wood? Oh yeah, let's cut some wood. All right, so this black walnut right here, it's pretty wild. It's got a rotten section here at the top, right here. It was exposed to the elements because I believe this is the one that actually was hit by lightning and caught fire. Kind of crazy. This tree right here came out of Alabama in the Huntsville area. We went to go cut this down probably about 2 years ago. Anyways, a lady contacted us, said, hey, she had a black walnut tree and she would like us to take it down. Actually, there's 2 black walnut trees. And the first question I asked her, I said, is there anything around this tree? And they assured us that there was nothing around the tree. Well, that was not the case. The tree was like overhanging the house, the garage, and next to power lines. But we did have myself, my father-in-law, my dad, a lot of chains, come-alongs, and stuff like that. And long story short, we were able to get it down. Now, we had nothing to load said log onto the trailer other than cant hooks and just brute muscle. So that was kind of not enjoyable. But we got everything on there, what we could save, because unfortunately, like I said, lightning had hit one of these trees, had caught fire at some point, burned out a lot of the base of it. It was kind of wild. And anyways, I was able to get a lot of the limbs. It was still worth it because I've gotten some unique stuff out of this tree. It was standing dead-ish, if you will. And standing dead black walnut trees tend to have a lot of dark, rich colors to them. So this log here would be no good for boards. There's too much going on the outside. There's a lot of rot. There's a lot of knots and everything. This right here would be good for a mantle, and that's what we're going to go ahead and cut. I really don't think I can do a live edge face, although this section right here, which actually looks like my son was hitting us with this machete. This looks like it's mostly hardwood, or heartwood, excuse me. But I don't think there's any way I could save some of that moss. That'd be really cool if you could take that moss, throw some epoxy on and keep that on there, but I just don't see that happening. I'm going to do my best. Probably won't have any live edges to speak of, but we can power carve that out to make it look kind of like a live edge. Yeah, so here we go. Without further ado, let's go ahead and cut this log up. I'm going to throw in a time lapse until I get to some good stuff, and then we'll shoot a few real time. Okay, so everything's looking good right now. I mean, the boards coming off this are absolutely gorgeous. However, we did hit a nail. On the first cut, literally hit a nail. So I'm like, son of a gun. Maybe it was the second cut. Whichever cut it was. But anyways, hit a nail. That's pretty typical. Even though this one right here came off of the upper part of the tree, I guess they were trying to hang a wire in it or something like that. I don't know. You never know. But the nail, I think you can see on the camera, is right here. My blade, coming in about right there. Go ahead and get the dogs are going to bark. I'm going to shoot from this angle. You can see the little shimmer there on the screen, so that's good. The blade, I'm still running it. It's not really hurting too bad. I mean, I barely hit it. And I am going to be able to get a live edge face on the other side. So that's good. So I've got my blade height at like 10-ish inches right now. 10 and a half, something like that. We'll see how this kind of cuts out. And maybe, again, like I said, have a live edge face. If not, I don't really want to cut on this side. This is going to be like the bottom side of the mantle. I'll cut off the top side if need be, but I am trying to stay away from the pit a little bit. Let's just see what this does. I think we might be surprised. You gotta always go deeper on that first cut. I don't know how I manage to screw that up all the time. I underestimate how deep that first cut needs to be sometimes. The laser would be nice, but at the same time, I've reviewed a lot of stuff on lasers, and getting consistency can be a problem, and also if you're cutting real close to the deck, that can be a problem. I've looked at different options. I haven't given up on it yet, but yeah, we'll see. I just also at the same time, like, yeah, I screwed up the first cut, but I just cut a second cut. The board that came off though is absolutely beautiful. That would be perfect for epoxy if some of that moss would stay on there. Okay, so we had to bring her down to 9 inches. So I took essentially a whole nother inch off that. I think I've got enough of a flat edge here to work with. Now I'm just going to look. It's a little bit smaller than I want it to be. I knew that was going to be a problem, but I had to take off material on this side. And see how it's got that wobble to it? That's because of my cut where I hit the nail and everything. It's also when the board moved, or the log moved, if you will. I'm probably have to try to pull this nail. There's like 2 pieces of metal in there. Son of a gun. I need to cut off of this side. Really, to tell you the truth, I need to trim this section off. I got to. Because I've got a rotten section here. It is beautiful on top, but I think just need to square it up a little bit better. So we're going to cut off on this side here. I'm not going to touch the bottom because I don't want to have to pull those nails. And then we'll, if need be, probably take another inch board off the top. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, and I'm using these pine pieces here because I don't want to touch the wood face. You know, it's a black walnut mantle. I don't want to dig the log dog into the wood. All right, let's do that. We'll cut off to where my blade is going to be like barely touching right here. So it'll probably be like 1.25 inches over there. We'll see what we're left with. They give me something to work with. At 6 and 15 16 down. That's not bad. I've got I can work with that. Now I'm going to take a little bit off the top. Really need to take it off the bottom. Dang. I'd like to straighten it up. So I'm going to pull a nail. I hate pulling nails because I got to cut off this side. I got to. I'm going to go on a time lapse. See me struggle. Folks, that actually went surprisingly well. Not hard at all to pull it out. The bottom part of the nails had essentially corroded away. Again, black walnut is very high in tannic acid and it's very corrosive to metal, but you can see this massive black spot on the back of this thing. If you look at the mantle, we were like 4 3/4 or 4 7/6. I think it's 4 7/16 in height. The width, if you will, it was like 7 and some change. And we have a little bit of live edge here to work with, which I can actually power carve some of that section out there to kind of match this. And I like the grain. This will be the top side, in my opinion, with this being the bottom side. And what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do some of that because this log is extremely dry. It's hard to explain how dry this is. Again, this is a standing dead tree, so I'm actually pretty comfortable working with this one right away. I've worked with actually another piece of this tree that I spent minimal time drying and then turned it into a mantle that has been in the house now for about a year or so with absolutely no issues once you keep it oiled and everything. So I'm going to throw it in a hyperlapse. We're going to sand this thing down. We're going to see what this thing looks like. Okay, so again, as you can see, this mantle is just getting darker and darker. It absolutely looks amazing. I do like working with dead black walnut because of how rich the colors are in it. This tannic acid just continue just to, I guess, fester within, if you will, and it just makes everything dark and beautiful. So I've got my 2 sanders out here. We've got the DeWalt DWE 640, 6401DS. Put some 60 grit on here because I want to go ahead and remove a lot real quick, smooth it up, and I'll finish up with my rigid random orbital. And you'll be amazed at how fast we can do this. Now with black walnut, if you're doing this inside of a closed space, definitely wear respirator and such. I'm out here outside. I got a nice wind, so the sawdust will be blowing away from me, which is really good because black walnut is one that can cause some irritant to your, breathing and such. So here we go. Let's go ahead and see what she has to offer inside. Okay, so here we are thus far. It's looking pretty good. I'm liking the two-toneness that's going on. We've done a lot of the sanding. We're gonna go ahead and pop this ground. I'm gonna spritz some water on here. Let it sit out here and dry so we can pop it. I do have a wet spot right here, so I've got to figure out, I guess it's from the way that the log was sitting out here, water was getting in. So I gotta, wait for that to dry out. On that, the face looks pretty good. I'm really liking the grain over here. Let me show you. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I was chasing this crack there for a while, and I'm getting to believe that that could be part of the pith, but I'm going to put some CA glue in there, as well as like all these little holes and everything. And this would probably be one of the first ones I'm going to finish up with maybe some Rubio Monocoat or something like that. But I'm liking the way this looks. Down here, I do have some sapwood here, not so much down here. This is where I was having to power carve, excuse me. But it is turning out very nice. And I do have this weird, rotten spot here, but I think I'm gonna keep that kind of the way it is, and we'll coat it with some epoxy or something like that, so it gives it that really rustic look. The ends look pretty good. Even the bottom looks pretty good too. Yeah, so I'm happy with the way it's looking. I'm trying not to put this on the metal too much, although it is very, very dry. I don't really think any staining is going to occur, but I don't like to ever set black walnut on bare metal like that. So, thus far, I'm happy with the way this looks. I'm going to go ahead and continue working this just a little bit more. We'll go from there. Okay, so everything's been going well. I've got my CA glue stuff here. Adhesive Guru. Got this on Amazon. I'm just going to go through and kind of fill in any kind of pockets that I have here. Everything's dried out, so we're good. And then I'll go ahead and do the final sanding. Hitting that water to this really made that pop. You can feel your rough spot. And then I was going to do the mono coat. I'm going to stick to what I know. On this one, I'm going to continue using the oil for right now, and I'll save the mono coat for a bigger project, for a table. So, on a time lapse, get this thing finished up. Okay folks, so we're essentially done here. We've gone through that CA glue. Sorry, gotta get the shadow off here. Here's an example of where I did one little knot right there, filled it in. A couple little holes here and there. I did a lot on this side right here. And once I add that oil to it, it's gonna smooth out some of that. But I think it looks pretty good. And like I said, I was looking at doing a Rubio Monocoat to this, but I think what we're going to do is go ahead and do the, oh, here's another section I did right here. we're going to do the mineral oil. Because with mineral oil, it's a known. I know how it's going to react. I know how it's going to finish up and everything. This feels really good. So let me go ahead, get the mineral oil out, and get this going. Folks, that's a mantle. That's a beautiful mantle. Very happy with this turned out. As you saw there at the very end, what I was using instead of paper towels, I found that almost like cardboard type paper really helps because it does not leave fibers on it, and it gets, it soaks up the oil, but also you can start to heat it up and everything. It helps to get it in. Now this is only one coat of mineral oil on there, and that's all that's on here is mineral oil. There's nothing else. You can see the detail between the sapwood and the heartwood. There's only one little thing that I'm not the happiest about. It's this section right here. I got a few bubbles in there, but it's the coloration change. It's not too big of a deal, but it just catches my eye. And in this section right here, I think that turned out very well. I just oiled it up, and it is still kind of wet there, but that looks pretty good though. I'm happy with it turned out. Using that CA glue, I did fill some pretty large areas, but overall though, I think we have a fantastic mantle right here. I'll put the total dimensions in the description below, but if you're interested in this mantle or a mantle like this, just let me know. I make these for fun. This one turned out pretty well. As you saw, we did the power carving on this. Gives it a very nice look. It's very even, I'll say that. So yes, we do have some coloration change, but there's different things that kind of bounce it out. So over here you have the sapwood with the heartwood. Over here you have all these knots. So, and you have also on that side the little bark inclusion, or the fire was, whatever that it may be over there. Very happy with this turned out though. So again, please like, subscribe. If you're interested in a mantle like this, just contact me. I can give you the dimensions of this one, and I'll put that, like I said, I'll put that in the description below. But we got a nice clean back. I lightly sanded the back, not a whole lot there. And ends are sanded, front sanded, top sanded, bottom sanded. Yeah, that'll be a good one to mount in someone's house. All right, please like, subscribe. We'll see you around. Thanks.